Hello and welcome to another pen video from me, Penultimate Dave. So I have here a pen. It's a Conway Stewart pen. Now there's a little bit of a strange thing here because there's a number of different Conway Stewarts out there. There was the original Conway Stewart that was around from the 1920s until 2014 and then it shut its doors for the final time. And that was in the UK, in England, in Britain. And then, more recently, from about 2015 onwards, there's the bespoke British pens that have taken on the Conway Stewart name, all of the existing parts and celluloids and resins, and been making Conway Stewart modern versions from 2015, I believe, all the way up until the present day. And then there's this Conway Stewart, and this is Conway Stewart in America, or what was used to be termed Conway Stewart USA. And this is from Manu of ASC Pens, of While Ever Sharp, now the Pen family. So this is a little bit strange that there are today two Conway Stewarts out there. There's the British version and there's the US version, and neither of the two are owned by the same people, and they're completely different people. So this is the USA version, and I will show you this pen here. Now there's a little bit of a strange thing here. You have some stickers on the outside of this cardboard case saying that this was approved by Sir Winston Churchill. Now Sir Winston Churchill passed away quite a while ago, and he was a British Prime Minister, and this pen came out a long time after Sir Winston Churchill passed away. So this really wasn't approved by Sir Winston Churchill. Now Sir Winston Churchill did have a Conway Stewart pen named after him in honour, and that was the Churchill pen. And he has written with Conway Stewarts in the past, but he's never approved this pen, so just thought I'd make that very clear here, because that statement I think is a false statement. Now let me unbox this pen, and we'll take the outer sleeve off, and you will see here a number of things. So the first thing is you'll see this pleather style box. You get a Conway Stewart, and this is the USA warranty information card. So this pen is guaranteed for 18 months against technical failures due to faulty material or workmanship. And then you have this sort of catalogue or brochure, and this is basically detailing Conway Stewart and the pens that they used to make, the history of Conway Stewart, the original founders of Conway Stewart in London, and Conway Stewart in the 1930s, in the 1950s, and also the building that actually got bombed in the Blitz, and now the new Conway Stewart Model 100. Now ASC had originally brought out an M100, I believe, and that is Manu, and he wasn't that successful with the M100. At least I don't believe so, because it stopped selling. There weren't any more made, and now Manu has tried to revive this and bring out the Series 100, which is what this model is. So let me open the box and I will show you here. Now you do get a Conway Stewart logo here in a different font with a Conway Stewart emblem there. You do get some marks on this case here. It's not a very great case, to be honest. And then you have the pen, and this is the Red Candy Spaghetti. Now I do like these spaghetti pens. I have a similar sand version in my Leonardo, and it's a really nice material. So for me, this is a really nice looking pen. Now, it doesn't have the same cap finial that most Conway Stewarts, the originals, or even the Bespoke British pens have. This has a black cap finial on it, and not the colour of the body of the material. And there's a few other things that are different as well. So you have Conway Stewart here, and then Conway Stewart again, and that's a different cap band that you would normally see from either an original Conway Stewart or a Bespoke British Pens Conway Stewart. Now, the pen itself, this has an 18 karat gold nib, and some of these have steel nibs, some of them have 18 karat gold nibs. It has an ABS plastic feed there as well. The pen itself in the size of my hand is actually quite a good size. You can post the cap, and the cap will post, and it is quite nice there. The resin, and it is a resin, it's a plastic, a resin, an acrylic. It's not a celluloid for the price. Now, with a gold nib, you're looking at around $475 US, with a steel nib around $275 US at retail. Now, this is a cartridge converter pen, and you'll see the cartridge converter there. It has metal threads, and it also has like a brass inner thread section there. Now, this body actually feels a lot weightier than I thought it would, and I noticed something is that, and whether or not this is a quality control issue, if you just tilt the barrel, this weight comes out. Now, I would have thought that if anything, that weight probably should have been glued inside, but it just sits inside. So if you get one of these pens and suddenly you're cleaning it and suddenly that happens, then you know you've not broken anything. It's just the way it is. And you kind of would think, well, maybe that should be sat or glued onto the converter there, but no, because it's not going to give you any way of gripping and twisting, because there's actually no thread inside there. So that was something that actually struck me as a little strange. But it does add a bit more weight to the pen, and I guess if you didn't want the weight, you could remove it. But I kind of feel that really should actually be glued in place inside. And certainly, I know Bespoke British Pens do that on some of their models, and they do glue a weight, a metal weight inside the pen to add a bit more weight when it's a resin pen. The pen itself, though, it's a nice pen. The nib there, as you'll see, is an 18 karat gold nib. It's got a laser etched Conway Stewart logo there on the nib. But it does have an ABS plastic feed. It's a cartridge converter pen. I like the material. I do like this kind of material. It really is a nice material. And I have this in a Leonardo, but it's the grey sand colour version. But I do think it's a little bit strange, a little bit disconcerting now that we have a number of Conway Stewart companies out there. And they all claim to be official companies. The Bespoke British Pens have the name Conway Stewart, as I understand it. Not the company name that's registered, but the British name that's registered. And likewise, Manu, ASC Pens, or Conway Stewart USA, or the pen family, whatever you want to call it, has the US trademark. But it still makes me feel a little bit strange that there are now multiple Conway Stewarts. And if you're buying a Conway Stewart and you want either an authentic or close to authentic, you need to know which company to be buying from. So the Bespoke British Pens is the more authentic, I would say, company between that and Conway Stewart USA. Conway Stewart USA have a lot of new resins though, and this is a lovely new resin. So it's really down to what you would prefer. If you really want an authentic Conway Stewart, then you need to buy either a vintage Conway Stewart or an original Conway Stewart, one that was made prior to 2014. But this in itself is a nice pen, so I think let's do a size check, a weight check, a pen comparison, and then we'll do a writing sample. So, the size of this pen is about 138 millimeters in length. We're looking around about 61 millimeters in length for the cap. And then in terms of the length of the body from the tip of the tines, it's about 124 millimeters in length. We'll do a weight check. So the full weight of the pen uninked, we're looking at just over 34 grams. The weight of the cap, we are looking at close to 8.5 grams. So it is a lightweight cap. And then the body uninked, we're looking at just over 20.5 grams. And the cartridge converter will hold about 0.7 milliliters of ink. So add on another 0.7 milliliters. And that's not too bad a weight of pen. So from left to right, we have a Visconti Kaleido Voyager in the Yellow Dawn, a Visconti Kaleido Voyager in the Forest Green. We have a Bespoke British Pens Conway Stewart Churchill in the Blue Stardust, a Bespoke British Pens Conway Stewart Churchill in the Red Stardust. We have a Conway Stewart Series 100 in the Red Stardust. We have a Conway Stewart USA, and this is the Series 100 Spaghetti Candy Red version. We have a Visconti Divina, and this is the Desert Springs. We have a Visconti Homo Sapiens Bronze Swirl. We have a Classic Pens LM1 in the Flame Red, and we have a Classic Pens LB5 in the Kaoseki. So, I think let's do a writing sample. So, this is a Conway Stewart, and I'm going to say USA here because it is the USA version, and it's the Series 100, and it's the Candy. I'll actually write this down here because I'm running out of space. Candy Spaghetti and it's actually really the red Candy Spaghetti. Now this does have an 18 karat gold nib. Now there isn't actually any designation on this nib on what size of nib this is. Now I would have said that that's probably a medium nib, but it's actually writing a lot like a broad nib, and there is no designation on that nib whatsoever. Now, it is a gold nib, but it does have a very generous ink flow. I can push that gold nib a little bit more and get double the line variation out of it. I'd almost say that this is writing between a broad and a double broad, actually, because that is a very fat marker type pen, and that definitely, it's not a fine and it's not a medium. Now these do come in I believe only fine, medium and broads, so I'm guessing this is probably a broad nib and not a medium nib. Now in terms of wetness, let's have a look here. You can see it's quite a wet nib, but it's not a fire hose nib. So this is actually quite a nice writing pen. It's not hard starting, it's not skipping, it's behaving very nicely, it's not behaving badly. But I don't know, for me, I'd much rather own the British version of Conway Stewart, maybe because I'm British and that's the reason why I have that tie to the Bespoke British Pens version, and also that they have actually been making the pens since, I think, 2014, maybe 2015 is when they started, and this is really just a much newer version. This is a 2020 edition model. So, I don't know. Ultimately, it's a Conway Stewart. It's the shape, the size. It looks like a Conway Stewart Series 100. Is it authentic? No. Is the Bespoke British Pens version authentic? No, it's not either. It's a very close replica to that. It's not an existing Conway Stewart, although the Bespoke British Pens version, I would say, has more authentic parts to it. I'd like to thank John at stjohnspens.com again for loaning me this pen for review. If you haven't checked John out already, go check him out at stjohnspens.com or St John's Pens on Instagram, or any of the UK or European pen shows that are coming up in 2020 and beyond. So there you go, that's my review of the Conway Stewart USA pen. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next pen video. Bye bye.